cooperative board game for 2 to 4 players from ages 8 and up, and it takes about 45 minutes to play.
It's created by Matt Leacock and produced by Z-Man Games, and this version is the second print of the game. In Pandemic, you play together as a team trying to find the cure of diseases that are spreading all over the world.
When you start the game, several cities have already been infected. These 4 diseases are indicated by the blue, red, black and yellow cubes on the board.
Each player takes on a role from the rescue team. They then place the matching color pawn on the starting place on the board, which is always the city of Atlanta. You also start with a research center built there. Now, the research centers are crucial in this game. That's where you'll be developing your cures later on.
A player's hand will consist of a reference card with the actions you can take during your turn. You will also have a role card with specific actions for that character. Finally, you will start with a number of playing cards depending on how many players are in the game.
On your turn, you can use your actions to, for example, move across the board, treat diseases, share knowledge with other players, and build more research centers. After the actions are spent, you draw 2 cards from the player deck.
When you have 5 cards of the same color, you have the knowledge to develop a cure at a research center. You will now be able to treat that disease at a much faster rate and maybe even eradicate it completely.
However, at the end of every player's turn, the infections will spread. You will draw a number of infection cards according to the current infection rate. These cities are immediately infected.
If a city's cube limit of 3 is exceeded, an outbreak occurs and the infections will spread even further. This can lead to a chain of outbreaks if nearby cities also exceed their cube limit.
If that wasn't bad enough, you also have epidemic cards shuffled in the player's deck. These will increase the infection rate, mass infect one city, and then intensify the game by reshuffling the cards in the infection discard pile and placing them on top of the infection deck. This means that already infected cities have a greater risk of outbreaks. The difficulty of the game can be set by how many epidemic cards you choose to play with.
It's not all bad news. You might also draw event cards that will aid you on your mission to save the human race.
To win the game, you will need to find the cure for all 4 diseases. This is the only way that you can win in Pandemic. However, there are 3 ways that you can lose the game.
If you run out of cubes in any color to place on the board, you lose.
If you have more than 7 outbreaks, you lose.
If there are no more cards to draw in the player deck, you lose.
Pandemic is the first cooperative board game that I ever played, and I was blown away of how immersive and engaging a board game could be like. I really like the strategic elements, and I like the stress of the fear of those treacherous epidemic cards.
I mostly appreciate the cooperative aspect of the game. It's a great introduction for beginners. It's easy to learn and it's an engaging game experience. The possibility to change the difficulty by adjusting the number of epidemic cards, it really adds to the replayability of the game.
One possible downside with the game could be if you play it a little too often or too many times in a row, it can start to feel a little bit like a puzzle, like you know which actions to take to win the game. I know there are 3 expansions for Pandemic. I haven't tried any of them, but I do think that could help a little bit with that issue. Otherwise, this is a great game. I really enjoy it. I think the design and the look of the game really fits the theme perfectly.
Yeah, and the components are good quality. They could have gone with miniatures instead of pawns, but I don't think that really affects the feel of the game too much.
So that was Pandemic. We really enjoy it and we highly recommend it, so go and check it out.
Check it out!